Hello, my name is Michael Immeke. I'm talking to you from Germany, and I'm really glad to be here at the LED Expo Asia to talk to you. I have made a very interesting project in collaboration with a studio from New Delhi. I have made my learnings from that, and I want to share those with you. How can a lighting designer work across borders on very interesting projects, on details, product development? I've learned a lot on how to work together, and I found several very interesting new tools which I want to introduce to you.
Now let me talk about that collaborative project in India. You can see how it looked like when we came to the scene the first time. It's in northern India, it's a private residence, and as you can see, the process of building it has already come to a certain stage. But thank goodness it was almost everything was still possible, and it was clear how most things will look like, which is very important to have a good understanding or a good influence on the final results, on the final outcome. So how do we start? Is it free inspiration? Is it the client's demand so that we're listening to the client alone? Well, of course, this is super important, but take it with a bit of reservation. You have to be careful because it's a matter of languages that people do probably not understand each other perfectly. And on the other side, it's very often that clients have seen something in another place and think they can adapt it right away into their new building, which is usually not the case. Then there might be normative rules, not so often in residential projects. And the most important thing is the analysis of the project. And what is the analysis of the project? We have a look. It has to do with human factors, of course, super important. You want to feel comfortable, you want to feel safe, you want to look healthy, you want to have coziness, you have to have sufficient brightness in some places as with the intention to fulfill your tasks. And while looking at these things, you'll always be automatically looking at architectural aspects as well, which means you have to know the surfaces and colors. For example, it would not help to illuminate a red wall with a bluish light, and of course, the same is true for the other direction. The direction of light is important. If you think of a structured surface which you want to, where you want to see the structure, so you have to put the lights in a certain position to make that obvious. And well, sometimes it needs a good story. Good story, why? Well, many projects are not made with the intention of just having it bright or just to live. They have representative effects, at least, or representative intentions. And then it needs probably a story why you're doing things. I'll come into that in a second. By the way, I'm teaching much of that at the Al Yamala University in Riyadh starting this spring 2021. So anyone having the intention of learning more about these things and lighting design in general is really invited to join me there or to see me there. Here we come into three statements based on the words of Richard Kelly Grant, who is something like the grandfather of lighting designers, categorizing light into three groups. Focal glow, which is the most designed light, let's say, because it's the light that I use to fulfill my task or to make people look at a certain thing. So that is the light which is the most designed light. So it's not light by accident. It's not just light that is there. It's light with a lot of intention. Here we have an example of how light could be in the exterior. This is light as a typical work light. It helps you to look at the ground because these machines dig coal out of the coal mines, and so you want people to look at it, at the ground, at the floor, not at the sky. So it's light with kind of a mission, the mission to make you look and make you look at certain things and make you work, allowing you to work. It's not there for yourself to look beautiful or to entertain you. Then there's a second type of light, which is the ambient luminescence, as Richard Kelly Grant said it. It's the light which is just there, like background light, light around you. A lot of cases it's daylight, Here you have an example. It can be light in the fog, or here it's probably some kind of foggy atmosphere in the desert, and you don't see the sun, but it's still there. That's how nature does it, and that's something that you have in very often in offices in these cases. So it's just bright, but usually it's not a comfortable situation. Um, that's something that I in many cases do not really design. It's just the reflections of the focal light. Then we have this part, play of brilliance. He says it's like Times Square at night. And here's something where I have a bit of a different position, because currently in many major cities there seems to be Times Square at any place. So it's a competition of play of brilliance, which is something I do not like that much. So I have to be very careful. I think many more people than in the past are looking for the chance to slow down, calm down, and have a cozy and a welcoming atmosphere, which is not flashy. So play of brilliance is something that you have to do very carefully. It's like using the spices with a dish. If you use too much, you can destroy the total thing. The entire thing will not taste good if you use too much spice. So be careful with the play of brilliance. But of course, particularly with these projects that I'm talking about here, it is necessary to play with brilliance a little bit. This is how the nature does it. It is here polar light, and as rare as polar lights are, as rare we should use also the play of brilliance, at least more or less. And another fact is important. Let the idea be understood. So make sure that the client understands what you're talking about. It has to be to do with languages, and it has to do with the feeling that a client says, I know why he or she, why my lighting designer is doing it. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't come by accident. It comes with intention. When you do that, you have to explain why you do that, and be careful with the way you explain it. You should always compare things to nature, because everybody knows nature and how things are working. Not only, but that would be a typical way. Because if you're talking about glare, then as a lighting designer, I would understand something different from the client maybe. And the client would probably say, oh, I like the glare. I like when the sun is coming up or going down. And I like a little bit of that blinding effect. But we as lighting designers are trained to avoid glare. So you have to be careful about these things. These are true for lighting colors, the direction of light. All these things are of major importance. And communication is a very important issue. Because if you're not able to explain it well to your client, you're probably losing the entire project. I have heard lighting designers saying, oh, we do it like this because I think it would look nice in your place. And I think that's totally unacceptable. You shouldn't do that. The question, do you like this or do you like that? You can do that probably when you're talking about, do you like the Luminaire rather in blue or in green? Maybe, if that's necessary. But generally, you should know why you're doing something. It is so super important. I have made quite a big residence in Luxembourg where I explained things, and I was just starting in the ground floor where the cars were parking. And during that, the client received a call. That's the way it was. And I heard him say on the phone, no, this time I'm sitting together with a lighting designer who really explains to me why he is doing these and that. And these explanations make clear that you just were selling luminaires. You were just selling fixtures. You had no concept behind it. There's no idea behind it. So I have much more satisfaction if I go on working with him. Another project followed, and I'm looking for the next one to come up soon. So if you really explain things to your client, it's obvious that there is no alternative to the way you're doing it. So you really should communicate things well, which have to do a lot with psychology on how things are seen by clients. Psychological aspects are very important. It always has to do with your well-being, safety. You want to control your surroundings, the visibility. As you can see with these images, you'll not feel really comfortable because you cannot see everything. You don't know what is behind this gap, and this darkness doesn't feel satisfying. And it's a basic need for all of us to have a positive feeling about places. Like in these cases, you have the brightness above, which is a bit like daylight. It doesn't matter if it's daylight or artificial light, but the brightness from above makes you feel like being in a natural surrounding, even if you're indoors. Or look at the picture at the bottom right. You see something which is natural for us for hundreds, thousands of years. People are gathering around fireplaces. They want to see each other, they're looking at each other, they want to look healthy. It gives them a feeling of being part of something, which is always good for the people. And you can see also something which is different if you're working in a colder or warmer surrounding. The perception of warm light and cold light can be different because you'd feel fresher, and you will feel more comfortable with cold light if you're in a hotter surrounding, and the other way around. So you always have to bear in mind, where are you working? Are you working in Sweden or in Nigeria? Which all these things of psychology have to do with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You probably heard about that in the past. It has about to do with the basic needs of all us humans. Psychological or physiological needs have little to do with the building, but safety needs and with architecture and lighting, that's where we come in. You want to feel safe, you want to feel secure, you want to have the right surrounding, that you have control about what's around you. So that's where we have the basic needs of light. Then, as I explained to you before, where the group is sitting around a fireplace, it has something to do with psychological needs. Intimate relationships are stated. And then when you're going above that, that's where it's going to like luxury homes and where many projects are esteem needs. So it's about prestige. That's when the play with brilliance is becoming important. So it has to do, the more we're getting higher to the level, the more it is going towards the play of brilliance. So now let's have a look at the project once more. The project had this sketch, the project presentation, and I think it was the most relevant one. Do you remember I was talking about the story? And this is much a part of the story. The house had in the inside a little bit of a garden. And the garden, the idea of that was to bring the nature into the building. And I wanted to transfer that idea into the lighting as well. What I wanted to do there, which has been installed, is that the front wall, which was white, is illuminated in the orange tone of light, of the sunlight, of the sun going up or down. So this has the warmth. And behind that you have the cool bluish lights of the daylight, of the sky. So it's a bit of poetry, but it's also a lot of the nature which is transferred from outside into the building. And that story catched. Here you have an example how well it works if you try to transfer sunlight into an interior. It's a project from Olafur Eliasson, the Tate Gallery in London, and I've taken that picture from Flickr, and you'll find many more, and you'll see people just feeling well because they are in the sun. Usually London is well known for its rainy and grey weather. So people tend to go there and enjoy their time under a fake sun. It's a play of brilliance. There's no work light there. It's not real ambient lighting. It's much entertainment in it. It's a piece of art. So in general, there's a way to get from concept stage to a perfect realization, from analysis to product definition, by also define the quantity and position and orientation. But there's also always a concept behind it. It's nothing done by accident. So how do we go this way? How do we achieve this? Which are the tools we're using? The most important thing at the start is pen and paper to communicate with the client. It could be digital paper, that's fine. But it's very helpful to explain concepts and ideas. Then I use visual simplification to explain concepts and strategies, to have less misunderstandings. So I don't have to have the real situation, but I can use this as an example to explain to my client, okay, that is wall washing, bottom left. Bottom right, this is wall grazing. And if I want to put a focal point, top left, if I want to put a focal point, I have to have not only little spot to have a focus. No, I have to have 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 7, better 10 times as much brightness on that space. So it's becoming clear that if he loves to have plain walls well lit, that it needs much more energy to make an accent on such a surface. These concepts for later communication are very, very helpful. You can go back with the client, you know, we're doing this in that place, and we're doing that in this place. So this helps a lot in the communication. Then as a next step, I can use his real project and show him what are we going to do, where, and how are we going to do it. Not important to the client. Usually it's not important to show him which product are we using, with which fixture. We're using this to explain better the context in which he's living or is going to live, and to explain better or to control better how many fixtures will we need, how much, let's say, luminous flux will we need, which beam angles will we need. So products that we're using in this stage are not really determined exactly that like they're coming from this or that brand, but we define clearly what characteristics do we want. These things are done with Dialux Evo, probably the software that you know me from. I've been teaching on Dialux Evo for 9 years, I would guess. So I've been the first person to train others on this software when I was working for the manufacturer, the German Institute for the Application of Light. And if you'd like to have more, you'll find videos on that and me explaining the software on the web, and very soon there will be something printed on it as well. Well, then we moved on from lighting design. We had to luminaire design because we were looking for something unique. While the image in the center, based on an idea, or it's a further development on a product from Brian van Egmond, this is just customized. The one on the right is very, very, very individual. It has been produced here in Germany, and we had to make sure that it fits into the situation, into the place where it should go. It has changing colors. It has a particular painting, which is changing its color as well, depending on how the light is falling onto it. And how do we do that? The one in the center is based on the very first drawing. The second one is on a later stage drawing, and we're using augmented reality to reduce the risk of having any errors, so the client can verify in its place if that is the one he really wants and if it fits. He can go there with the iPad or iPhone or Android phone and check it out, verify it. It needs precision, it needs to be reliable, and that's what it is. We've been using, and we are still using it every day as an everyday tool, Luminaire. Carrying along samples is very annoying. So what you see there is the image of the Lucy light from EXPO. And you can see also how precise it is. The precision is probably 1–2% of the real size. There's no trick in it. It's so reliable, and it helps you to check if products are good, and it helps the client to say, yes, this is the one I want. That's a tool I would not want to do without anymore. I think it's available on different softwares. It's available for iOS, and it's for Android, and it's for free, and you can have your prototypes in there, and there's several hundreds of luminaires in there. It's perfect to consult your client, no matter if you're a lighting designer or if you're a dealer. And if you're a manufacturer, you can reach out to so many people when you use this app. Get in touch with the people if you have any questions. It's just marvelous. So the traditional way would be pen and paper. It allows me to react spontaneously on ideas, but it has its limitations too, because I do not have any numbers. It's non-numeric. I have to transfer it later on to something precise on the computer. Traditional CAD software It's nice, it's precise, but has nothing to do with photometrics. I receive many of these drawings and later find out that results are insufficient. Everyone is moving now to BIM software, which are the evolution of CAD software. They are collaborative, they have a stringent workflow, which is just great, but photometric qualities are very limited. You cannot really rely on these results if there is a calculation of light inside such a software. So look at the more well-known Dialux or Dialux EO, which I surely prefer, and Relux from Switzerland, German and Swiss products. They're very manufacturer-centric. BIM functionality is limited, particularly with the Dialux. It's close to nothing. They're not collaborative. They're quite easy to learn, very professional, very reliable. They're free of charge. Many plus points. You have to have special files to use all their potential. So just certain manufacturers are well implemented. AGI is open for anyone, but it's very expensive. But it's less realistic regarding the products because they're not collaborating with manufacturers as well. But it's well professional and it's not non-collaborative as well. Then you might like to use Revit for light calculation, which is perfect for looking at the BIM viewpoint. It's professional, collaborative, quite costly, I would say so, but you can forget about all the photometric results. As you can see in the example, inside that room, you have 20 lux daylight. That's the statement from the software. So just forget about for lighting design. It's most quite unusable from what I know. What I found out about, which I really seem to like, is LightStancer. LightStancer is a software from the USA, which is working seamlessly with BIM. It works well with Revit. You can use it with SketchUp. It is very collaborative. You can send files for review to your clients. It's quite easy to learn, very professional, excellent on daylight. The price is low. Some functions are still missing, but I'm really looking forward for them to be a part of the package very soon. So that it could be really the future for instead of Dialux and Relux and AGI. So that's something I'm looking for. And of course, Luminaire as a tool to explain things to my clients. So I'm going from concept to execution. How do I do that? In short, from the idea via a product description to product definition. So I have an idea, I can describe it. When I described it, I can go to the product definition and really make clear which are the qualities, the features I expect my product to have. And then I'm using Luminaire to check out whether I like the aesthetics of that product. Does it really fulfill what I need? I can use it to show it to my client, and I save all the sampling, sending things back and forth, which is not good for my time, not good for the product, not good for the environment. So that would be the other tool that I like to count on. So concept with pen and paper, calculation with Dialux, Relux, or LightStancer, and the product definition I do with Luminaire. So that is my workflow. That is my proposal from me to you. I hope I was able to give you a bit of inspiration to help you with your projects probably, and maybe we'll be seeing each other in the real world sometime. If you like to, meanwhile, you can check me out at LinkedIn. You'll find pages on Instagram for LightStancer and for Luminaire AR. And what else? There are some videos out there from me on YouTube as well. And yeah, probably we see each other once again in real life. I'm really looking forward to see you. Thank you a lot for listening and watching, and have a nice day. Have a light day. Bye-bye.